The Devil Wears Prada 2 opens today. It's kicking off blockbuster season. There's a lot of excitement, but also some controversy. People are upset about a character called Jin Chao, played by Helen J. Shen, accusing the filmmakers and the writers of creating a racist stereotype. The criticism ranges from Jin Chao's name, to her styling, to her credentials. Just to be clear, everyone is entitled to their opinion, and for those who are offended by the Jin Chao character, I am not here to change your mind or tell you you can't be. That said, as a person of East Asian descent, I feel like I'm also entitled to say I do not find this character offensive at all. Jin Chao is Andy Sachs, played by Anne Hathaway. Jin Chao is Andy Sachs's new assistant. We've come full circle. Andy Sachs in the original Devil Wears Prada was the second assistant to Miranda Priestley, and now she's come back to Runway magazine and she gets her own assistant. The controversy started when this clip was posted on social media by the studio a few days ago.
Are you Andy?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Jin Chao. I'm your new assistant.
Cool, I was wondering about that. Nice to meet you.
I was an intern this morning, but when a desk opens up, the interns get a chance to interview.
Some people are saying that the name Jin Chao sounds like Ching Chong, which is, I don't have to explain why Ching Chong is offensive. And I think a lot of these people have maybe some PTSD from Harry Potter and Cho Chang, which, yes, I can hear the similarity between Cho Chang and Ching Chong. But Jin Chao? A few people have pointed out that Jin Chao doesn't even sound like a Chinese name, which I disagree with. There's an actress in China right now who's pretty popular. Her name is Jin Chen, pretty similar. There's also another actress called Zhao Jinmai. So Jin, J-I-N, that word pronounced Jin in Mandarin shows up in names. Chao is also a very common last name in Taiwan. I personally, as an East Asian person, know many people with the last name Chao. And it doesn't strike me as strange to see someone with the word Jin in their name. Jin could mean gold, or Jin could mean now or the present. Now to Jin Chao's credentials.
If you don't want me, you can interview someone else. That's totally fine. I did go to Yale, 3.86 GPA, lead soprano of the Whiff and Poofs, and my ACT score was 36 on the very first try, but
no, you seem great. I'm happy to have you.
Went to Yale, 3.86 GPA. Yes, there is, I guess, a stereotype of East Asians going to Ivy League schools, but I think in that little descriptor that she gives herself, people are missing out on the part of her Yale experience that is probably the one she's most excited about. Soprano, Whiff and Poofs. That's like the singing group at Yale. So what she's identifying herself as is like a musical theater kid. This girl's a singing nerd. She will break into song at any moment. She's just about to. That, to me, is not a stereotype. Whatever stereotypes we have about Asian students and what school they go to, singing is not the subject they're enrolled in. But this character included that detail in there because this is a girl, like all musical theater kids, who make that a part of their personality because it's actually their whole personality. That, to me, is what's refreshing about Jin Chao. She is saying, yes, I am a nerd, but not the kind of nerd that you would typically, stereotypically associate with Asians, but like a singing nerd. It's not just the character, but the actor who's playing the character. Guess what? Helen J. Shen can sing. This is her first film role, but this is a Broadway performer. She can belt.
It's all those quiet parts you later can't forget.
What the writers and the filmmakers have done is created a character and cast an actor who understands and would be somewhat familiar with who Jin Chao is. And digging deeper into the theater experience, there aren't that many Asians on Broadway. In fact, East Asians are very underrepresented. The fact that this film, a blockbuster of 2026, includes a character who is Asian and who is a singer and who is played by an Asian who in real life is a singer on Broadway, I don't know, to me, I call that representation. But you know what? Representation and presentation are at the heart of this debate. And there are people who have an issue with how Jin Chao has been presented. Should this person who works in fashion look like this?
nobody wanted to work in your department because it's not actual fashion. So I just got it. Isn't that cool?
Very.
They're saying she's not stylish enough, she doesn't look cool enough, she doesn't look trendy enough, which to me I find very interesting because if we're talking about stereotypes, what is the stereotype of someone who works in fashion? Tall, willowy, wearing couture? Jin Chao is not tall. She's not willowy. Maybe she's not wearing identifiably couture. Doesn't that make her not the stereotype? And if that's the case, wouldn't her presence in fashion be more inclusive? Isn't that kind of what we want the fashion world to be? I do understand though, I understand what the critics mean. There was a time in the past, the stereotype of Asian people was like, oh, they wear glasses and they're nerdy. But in 2026, especially with how much time people spend on social media, the Asians that we're seeing more and more of are fashion girlies. They look like idols. They look like models. Their makeup is amazing. Their hair is whatever you would see in a magazine. Perhaps that is what people were hoping Jin Chao would look like. But again, that's who you would expect to fit into the fashion world. So the fact that Andy's new assistant doesn't meet that image, that archetype, that stereotype, is that necessarily a bad thing? Because guess what? Andy Sachs, when she joined Runway 20 years ago in 2006, she was kind of the outcast. The whole point was that she wasn't like Giselle Bündchen or Emily.
That I can't even talk about.
And if you know anything about musical theater kids, they have a certain style. They have a certain way of presenting themselves. So whatever criticisms people have about Jin Chao's style, she is dressing to her character, a musical theater singing girl who loves all the clips in the world, loves to clash her prints. So in terms of storytelling and narrative focus, Andy in 2026 now has an assistant who is kind of stepping into her role the way she was in 2006. The writers had a reason to cast someone and dress someone in that spot. In old times, they would have cast the 2.0 Andy as a white girl with long brown hair. Instead, they looked through the casting sheets, they asked people to audition, and they picked the Asian? Is that a bad thing? And speaking of Andy 2.0, so we all remember like the most iconic Andy outfit really, the cerulean sweater. And yes, that is the piece of clothing from Andy that gets the most attention, but do we remember what Andy was wearing underneath? It was actually a plaid skirt. Now look at Jin Chao's skirt. So the costume designer was picking Jin Chao's outfit with intention. They're drawing a direct parallel. She's not wearing a cerulean sweater, would have been too on the nose, but she is wearing a shade of blue.
Who is that?
Nobody. Well, Human Resources sent her up about the new assistant job, and I was sort of pre-interviewing her for you, but she's hopeless and totally
Well,
wrong. So.
clearly I'm going to have to do that myself because the last two you sent me were completely inadequate, so send her in.
There's actually another cool relationship here because, okay, so we know that Miranda Priestley is based on Anna Wintour. Anna Wintour is like, she loves Broadway. She's a patron of Broadway, pretty much. Every year actually hosts a dinner at her house ahead of the Tony Awards to celebrate the best of Broadway. You know who's been to that dinner party? Helen J. Shen. What gave you more butterflies, going to an Anna Wintour dinner or working on set at The Devil Wears Prada?
There was something really, really, really nerve-wracking about going to Anna Wintour's house.
Yeah.
And now Helen J. Shen is starring in a film based on Anna about fashion. Like, there's so many dots that are connecting, right? And one of those dots would be Miranda Anna Wintour would look through the resumes of all these interns who, of course, would have gone to Ivy League schools. I mean, like Runway, Elias Clark, Condé Nast, Vogue. How do you think people now get in these internships? Like, they all need to come from the best schools. So Miranda Anna would have been looking through this list of interns' resumes. Helen J. Shen or Jin Chao, singing experience, Whiff and Puffs, Yale, that would have stood out to Miranda. This tracks.
There's a character prop sort of named Huabun in the show Maybe Happy Ending, and to hear Anna Wintour say Huabun out of her mouth was probably top 10 moments of my entire life.
I covered the Devil Wears Prada 2 junket for Etalk in New York a couple weeks ago. I talked to Helen J. Shen. She was so excited to be in this movie, her first movie. And we also gossiped a little bit about, you know, being invited to Anna Wintour's house and like seating arrangements and all that. This must be a thrilling time for her. So hopefully whatever discourse is happening, yes, we should talk about it. These conversations are important, but hopefully it's not tarnishing her experience with this because nothing is her fault. She did a great job in this movie. Hopefully when more people see the movie, they will be able to form their opinions. Once again, I really enjoyed it. I really loved her performance, and I wasn't offended by this character, but I just want to say, once again, just to make it clear, other people who are offended are entitled to their opinion. The whole point is we should be able to debate nuance, we should be able to have an open conversation where everybody can be heard. That's all.